Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe OVIES. We are at Sedgefield Country Club in Greensboro, side of the Wyndham, not in the Eford studios. Joe, you got me all mobile the last couple weeks, man. ACC kickoff last week. We're at the Sedgefield. We're at Wyndham today, man. What's going on?
Feels good, doesn't it?
It actually does kind of feel good.
Feels good to do the things that we want to do, and then to be able to do them when
be very specific.
I got to work on my pronoun usage.
The things that we
have wanted to do since I've been in radio. Yes, this is something that I've been trying to do, and I'm glad we've been able to make it work this year.
No, it was actually
Rob Goodman, obviously, all the great work that he does with the Wyndham Championship. Couldn't do it without him.
Yeah.
And the PGA Tour, they're the ones who actually issued the credential, believe it or not.
They somehow credentialed us? They didn't look at OG Media and go, who the hell are these guys?
It was actually one of the more satisfying moments of my professional career.
Okay.
So, of course, Rob is the one who signs off. He's the one locally who runs the tournament, okay?
For
media. But you have to go through the PGA Tour. So I submit, like, hey, here's, Joe Ovies, Joe Giglio, Jackson Giglio, okay? And the PGA person had emailed me back because you have to go through their portal.
Yeah.
So they emailed me back and they go, hey, it looks like you've started a podcast. And I was like, yes, we have. And then they responded, I don't see anywhere where you've talked about golf before. And it was like, oh, okay. Allow me to retort.
Oh, well, hold
Here
up
are
a
the
second
episodes
now.
from the U.S. Open. Here are the episodes where we went to the Corn Ferry event at the Raleigh Country Club.
I'm sure that helped.
And right quick, the response was, no response in the email, but it was, your credential for the Wyndham Championship has been approved.
Oh, that's funny.
And I was like, cool. I have no problem with that in 2023.
Sure.
Different events saying, okay, now who are you? Are you just here for like a free lunch? Or what are you here for? So I think we've proven what we're here for. And we have some great conversations that we'll have today with people in and around this tournament. And quite frankly, I'm looking forward to it. I enjoy the PGA Tour. I know it's not for everyone. But I love golf, and this is such a great test of golf. And it really is humbling to be out here and see the guys play the way that they do. You want me to save my Denny McCarthy story, or you want me to?
Well, we can get to the Denny McCarthy story in a second.
Because you want to get to the actual ACC news, not the Virginia golfer.
No. I want to shout out Copiers Plus for presenting Ovies and Giglio. They jumped on as the presenting sponsor for the podcast this week, and you're going to be hearing a lot about Copiers Plus for the foreseeable future, as we've locked in an agreement, a grant of rights, if you will, with Copiers Plus. So check them out.
A wonderful union.
Yes. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. If you're a small to medium-sized business, you've got copying, printing, scanning, print management, fleet management kind of things that you have to handle. You might be losing a lot of money without realizing it.
I was going to say, you probably don't even know where you're losing money.
And a lot of it comes through that print management, and Copiers Plus can handle that for you. So for a consultation, check them out online at copiers-plus.com. They are the official Kyocera provider of OG Media LLC, as it sits in my home office.
Of all the things I would have thought when we started our own LLC, like, hey, what do we need? Man, I don't know how many times I've had to text you, call you. I need you to print this. I need you to scan this. I need you to sign this. All those things.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to go to like a store to do. So shouts to our people at Copiers Plus.
All right, you want to tell your story before we get to some ACC news and some realignment news? Because it's been a hot and heavy day. I'm actually kind of glad, in a way, in a weird sort of way, to go full Jurassic Park. Life
finds a way.
Podcast find a way. Because it's a good thing that we've started a little bit late today because we're out at Wyndham, because there's been a lot of movement on the realignment news front. But you want to tell your story real quick?
I do. On the Picks and Pizza podcast this week, I had a twin bill. I recorded 2 episodes.
I saw that.
First one with Anthony. Cool. Really nice conversation about low moisture mozzarella that I think people will find interesting.
Okay, that is interesting.
Check that out.
Yeah.
And then the other one was a more traditional Picks and Pizza podcast that I did with Josh Goodson. But we made our picks for the Wyndham Championship. Some people know that I have an affinity for certain golfers, and then I keep going back to them. This is like my Gonzaga theory, right? Like I just got to keep going back until you come home for me.
Yeah.
Denny McCarthy from Virginia is one of those golfers. He's had a really good season. He went to Virginia. So Jackson, Giglio, and I are walking down the 17th fairway, and we're trying to figure out who the pro in the group was. and the drive was really nice. We looked by, and then all of a sudden I go, that's Denny Mack. So, and that was my pick to win this week. Denny McCarthy was my pick to win this week. So he was about 25 yards away. I said, Denny Mack, this is your week. And I even said, go Who's.
Oh,
which I really never said in my life. I said, go Who's? Yes.
Wow.
So then I was like, hey, Jackson, let's walk back the other way. Let's see if he birdies this hole. I said, if he birdies this hole, I'm driving to Virginia tonight. We're placing a bet.
That's funny.
Sure enough, he sinks the putt. He's walking over, and he's walking to the 18th tee box. And I said, Denny Mack, I said, this is ACC country. I said, this is your week. I said, positive vibes, man. Good vibes. And he's like, I go, hey, I've only watched you for one hole and you birdied. I said, okay.
All right.
I said, this is the thing.
This
he's
is
like,
it, man.
He's like, you're right. Good vibes, man. Good vibes. And that was that. And then there was a group on the 18th fairway who lived at one of the houses. And they're like, hey, the last 9 champions on the Pro-Am day have come over and taken a picture with us on this bench.
Yeah.
And so they were like, you need to come over and take a picture. And the one guy was like, yeah, man, it could be your week. And then Denny, I was walking behind him, and then he's like, yeah, that guy just told me it's my week. So maybe it is my week. And I'm like,
it is.
Positive vibes only.
Speaking of vibes, the vibes continue to be good for Clemson being back. I know you did a shot at Joe to Go on the YouTube channel not that long ago about you're not overthinking these things. It's
not anymore.
Clemson's league again. And so the predicted order of finish came out yesterday afternoon. The ACC Player of the Year, the ACC all ACC preseason teams came out today as well. But let's start from yesterday. Clemson projected champion with the most first place votes, 103, followed by Florida State with 67. These are things that are not a surprise. The fact that Florida State got that many first place votes shows a little bit of a closing of a gap and the optimism around Mike Norvell's group this year to cash that
probably
in.
also shows that people don't know how to read a schedule, but
there's that too, which we'll get to that in a second.
I think we know that, though.
I think we'll get to that in a second because there is a little bit of there's a difference between how we saw it, we being the media, versus how Vegas sees it. And it's actually one of the talking points that came out of Charlotte last week for ACC Media Days that did not translate to the voting. North Carolina getting 5 votes to win the ACC does not surprise me.
No, they have a chance.
They have a chance. They've got Drake May. We'll see what Gene Chizik, 2 years in with this group and transfers, can do defensively to get things right. But again, the schedule might not do them any favors down the stretch. NC State getting 1 vote. Like, I'm pretty sure.
A chance.
Do they though?
If you can get into the game, you have a chance. I think all teams other than Virginia, Georgia Tech, and Virginia Tech have a chance to get in to the bracket.
All right. I see.
I'm not saying it's a great chance, but when you say Clemson is back, while I think Clemson is going to win the league again
for ACC purposes, there's a distinction.
Exactly. I think the gap between Clemson and everyone else is smaller.
Yes, I agree.
But I also look at the bottom of the league and go, well, it's a good thing if you play a lot of those teams: Virginia, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, Boston College. Although I think Boston College, with some health, will be their normal spunky 7-5, 6-6 self. But when I look at schedules, I go, okay, well, that's a big part of this. And I know, you say it's a Vegas part of it, but I think,
well, here's the thing
of
about
all
schedules.
the things we have to base this off of, what else do you want to base it off of other than when do you play a team and where do you play the game?
But to that point, this is what I found interesting. Duke was tied for 6th with Pitt in terms of the predicted order of finish. Actually, there's a couple things that are going on with the way this played out. One, we don't know what to do without divisions. All right,
sure.
When you had divisions, Pitt could have easily been viewed as one of the, they would have gotten first place votes to win the Coastal Division.
Yeah.
All right. Just like with Miami. Miami would have gotten some first place votes to win it. North Carolina probably would have been picked to win the Coastal this year, I think. All right. Without hesitation, I'd say that. Duke might have gotten some first place votes because people are really high on Riley Leonard and Mike Elko after first year. But this is when we get into you looked at the schedule, right? Duke being tied for 6th with Pitt, and then Louisville, which was the darling coming out of ACC kickoff because theoretically they have the easiest schedule.
Don't play Clemson. Don't play Florida State.
Vegas likes Louisville, but the voters clearly do not like Louisville for whatever reason. And Jeff Brum's
well, you also know the composition of the voters. It's heavy North Carolina, heavy Virginia. There's always going to be that way.
Yeah,
that's fine.
There's that too.
You just have to understand that going into it.
Meanwhile, we got the ACC preseason player of the year vote totals. Drake May, North Carolina with 88 first place votes. Jordan Travis, Florida State with 66. That does not surprise me. Those are the 2 quarterbacks that are going to be that will be getting most of the attention this year. Although I think Drake May is more of a sure thing that Jordan Travis has. I think again, we've only had 1 year Drake May, but Jordan Travis, a little bit more of a track record, a little bit more of an up and down. But it does get back to something we talked about with Mike Felder and others last week and the previous weeks. Who's got more around him? Jordan Travis seems to have more around him at Florida State, and that could be the difference for who has the good season and who has a season that misses out on the ACC Championship. Will Shipley is that like low-key, he's going to do it all for Clemson offensively, and he's going to rack up stats, and he could be an ACC Player of the Year. I could totally see that. And, hey, Riley Leonard getting a vote. Interesting.
Progress.
And shout out to Tyler Davis, tackle Clemson, for getting 1 vote. I'd love to know who did that vote. We don't know who votes, but I'd love to know who did that vote.
It's all good, man. If you think, whoever you think is going to win the league and you pick the best player off of that team,
yeah,
I have no problem with that voting thought process.
Housekeeping. All right, a little bit of housekeeping. So are we full up on the OG Pizza Night?
OG Pizza Night is officially sold out. This is it's a quick run though. You got to remember, we're learning things. We're learning how to put events on.
We are
how to get the people who care about us in a room together.
Yeah,
and reward them.
Yeah,
quite frankly, we have other things going on as we learn. We're trying to find our feet. That's what we're trying to do. Getting out and going into tournaments, going out to the ACC kickoff. These are all good things for our mental health. Perfectly honest with you. But it's also good to see and have these events and connect with the people who have been supporting us, and I'm really looking forward to that. It's a Monday night. We're going to do it again, but this one's Monday night, September 18th. Mm-hmm. There's a football game on. Just can't tell you who's playing in that football game.
But you have a good idea who it might be.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Involved. Well, you all can look at a schedule. Also,
not the Sinners, but the.
I put about 100. Yeah, I think it was 100 based on the envelopes that I had. I put 100 stickers in the mail yesterday.
Okay.
So be on the lookout for that. If you'd like a sticker, I still have some more. So just email.
Yeah, I got a chunk of. I don't have any positive vibes only stickers though.
No, we don't. Those are the cups.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to lean in a little bit on those.
On the positive vibes
I feel
only
like that's
stickers?
us. I feel like that's
5 stars only.
5 stars only. That logo that Anna cooked up.
Yeah,
I love
over
that.
a sound off.
We got to get that on a hoodie.
We'll get it on a hoodie.
We got to get that on a shirt.
We'll do it.
You got to get that on a hat.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I think that's us. I think that's our hook.
What, 5 stars only, positive vibes
like
only?
We're going to talk to Fat Perez. He's got a hook.
He does have a hook.
I think 5 stars is our hook.
All right, I'm with you on that. But if you want a sticker, I still have them. Just email sticker. That's in the subject line. So put the subject line sticker and then your address to the OG Goes Digital at gmail.com. Again, that's the OG Goes Digital at gmail.com.
Also check out our Instagram this week because we're out here.
Yeah.
And Jackson Giglio is our social media intern, and he has been very busy on the course today. So
he's earning that tax-free money.
He is.
All right. Shout out to Hometown Realty for sponsoring OVIES and Giglio. Check them out online at myhtr.com. Look, buying, selling a home, especially if you're trying to sell a home, it can get pretty competitive. You want to get that thing done as quickly as possible. My Hometown Realty, myhtr.com can make that happen for you. You also understand that it's competitive to buy a home. Again, Hometown Realty has multiple agents, many agents to make this work for you.
Yeah, Barry Woodard and his team, they got more than 250 agents in 6 locations. Just drive down 70, you'll see all of the billboards, and you might be like, "Oh, these guys they know something. Something's up. They know what they're doing." Yeah, they do. So check them out. It's myhtr.com.
And shout out to Whitaker and Hamer. WH.lawyer is the website. They've got locations across North Carolina. They got all the G's covered. And if we brought Josh with us here, do you think we could break into the clubhouse, steal the Grant of Rights, which is located under the desk that made the ACC? We can look at it. I don't know, maybe take control of the ACC with it. Can we shove it in the face of Florida State? Can we do any of that stuff?
I think we can.
All right, Josh, they've seen the original Grant of Rights.
Nick Cage style.
There's a Grant of Rights under the desk at Sedgefield. Anyway, check them out online at wh.lawyer. They'll take care of your legal needs. Yeah, we mixed it up.
Yes.
You like,
sir?
You like that iMovie?
Yes.
Yeah, you like that iMovie,
sir.
You like that iMovie. I see you. All right. So it's been a very, very busy 48 hours as it relates to realignment. Okay. And
it's been a busy 48 hours for realignment rumors.
This is true. It's funny you mentioned the rumor part of it. My brother texted me yesterday, and he sent me 3 screen grabs of Facebook suggested posts. And they were all these very fancy graphic with quotes, like from these nondescript, like, supersportscollegewhatever.com, those types of things. And I realized we're doing it wrong, Joe, because if we want to make it in this business, if we want to get engagement, we just have to create shit posts with really fancy graphics. That's what it's about. But shout out to Tim Buckley, weatherman.
Tim.
And he had pointed out, I actually thought this was the best way to put it. He goes, the college football version of Joe and Sam's Facebook weather page posting 2 to 3 feet of snow weather models for NC in the winter. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. He's like, well, I went to the GFS and I saw this model and it's 3 days old, but it said we could get 2 to 3 feet of snow. So it must be true, right? Never mind that the experts are trying to tell you, whoa. That's just one model. Yeah. So Tim honestly put it in the best way possible, making fun of these rumors about all these ACC schools that were going to be leaving.
2023, right?
It is still 2023.
Like nobody hit a fast forward button.
No, it's not. It's not.
Okay.
It's not.
That's the part that's confusing to me.
So, all right, let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
And we'll work our way through where things are going right now.
We're hitting the frequently asked questions portion of the program.
We kind of are, honestly.
We should.
You've always pointed out that the frequently asked questions about Russell Wilson was the greatest internet post I ever made.
Yes.
It's like tap sign. Just go read this if you want to know what happened. All right. So let's start with Florida State, which has, I guess the meetings in Amelia Island, Florida, where Florida State theoretically got what they wanted in reworking the television revenue or the revenue distribution to reward those who succeed. Okay, remember that was the thing that came out of the meetings at Amelia Island. Like, we need to earn more because we win more. Although last time I checked, Florida State hasn't won the ACC in 10 freaking years, but that's neither here nor there. So the Board of Trustees chair did an interview with War Chant. And it's a very wide-ranging interview, and the part that has blown up, though, is what he had to say about the Grant of Rights. So this is from the War Chant On 3 website. Quote, and this is from Pat Collins, who's the Board of Trustees chair. When I say we have a handle on the Grant of Rights, we understand the document very well. Cool. We understand our position on that document. Yeah. It's pretty locked tight. Last time I checked. I mean, we talked to Bubba Cunningham about this a couple of weeks ago. We understand our position on that document. We understand the legal argument in that document. We understand who the parties would be under that document. And we believe we have a very good handle on what our risks are under that document and what our opportunities are under that document. Okay, cool. Like, he's really just filibustering. He's not really saying anything new. Honestly, Bubba Cunningham, who's like the real adult in the room most of the time, pretty much laid it out to us in 60 seconds. Here's what it is. Here's what we know. And here's what we're trying to explore if you're going to try to get out of it. The number we don't know. But here's the part that blew up from Collins. Quote, that's the least of my worries based on what we know. We understand it. We've gotten a lot of counsel on that document. That will not be the document that keeps us from taking action. And I'll leave it at that. Whoa. Oh, ho, ho. Look at the big, chesty, bold words from the Florida State Board of Trustees chair. All right, so here's my question, Joe, and you tell me if this is out of pocket. If that's not the document that's holding you up, then why haven't you yet? What's keeping you from leaving the ACC? Because in this interview, he talked about the insurmountable financial gap that the ACC has versus the SEC and the Big Ten. Again, similar talking points that we got from Amelia Island in Florida, similar talking points that we've been getting from whiny, broke-ass Florida State for the last year and a half, 2 years now. So if this document is not the thing that's keeping you from making a move, like, trust me on this, I'll leave it at that. We have a lock on it. Okay. Like, do I have to break out the Martin Luther King do something gif again? When you stepped in it? When that was your catchphrase? Do something already then. If this is not holding you, why are you still in the ACC? It's August 2nd as of this recording. They have until, August 15th. That's how we kind of understand these Grant of Rights issues. Okay, go already.
I understand. I think I understand where he's coming from when he says we understand the document, right?
Bubba Cunningham.
As Bubba said,
no, Joe.
We know.
Joe, we all understand the document.
No, I know that.
Like, congratulations, you understand the document. So
Right.
do we, and we're just jabronis with a podcast.
Right. I guess
Like,
what
come
I'm
on,
saying,
man.
though, is what he sees is a document and says that's a number that can be negotiated.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's what he's
Well, that's what Bubba
saying.
told us in
Yes.
60 seconds
Right.
without the bluster.
Right. The Big Ten is the one that's going to have to want Florida State. Okay. As we've talked about, the SEC and their partnership with ESPN and ESPN's partnership with the ACC, it does not behoove ESPN. Who runs the ACC?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
You have to wrap your brain around this. Florida State does not run the ACC anymore. North Carolina doesn't run the ACC anymore.
Yeah.
ESPN runs the ACC. Okay. The sooner you wrap your brain around that, the sooner we will all be. Okay. The thing about the Big Ten, which is kind of comical, because they're about to sign, they have a new contract that's worth more than $1 billion a year in television revenue. Do you know what the Big Ten actually still pretends and fronts to care about? I'm serious.
No, I know.
Academics. Something called the Association of American Universities.
Yeah.
Is something that they kind of get themselves in this old guard, old world, 1950s thought process about.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look at us. Look at our academic bona fides. We're part of the AAU, the Association of American Universities, and they don't admit teams to the Big Ten who aren't. Do you know where Florida State is with their AAU status? They are not a member of the American Association of Universities. Now, going to the AAU.edu website, I learned today that Arizona State, which is more known for the porn capital of this country than anything else, is now a member in the year 2023 of the American Association of American Universities. If you would have asked me this morning if Arizona State was part of the AAU, I'd have been like, what drugs are you on?
Right.
So that doesn't mean the next 5 years Florida State couldn't figure out a way to get there.
Yeah,
but
why
right now they're not there, so you're not getting in.
That's the thing. But they got everybody worked up like they're going to leave in the next
Like
couple
tomorrow.
of weeks. It's not happening that way. It's not happening that way.
And that's a silly reason. Academics is a silly reason.
But they believe it
but
in
the
the
Big
Florida
Ten
State.
fronts on that stuff.
So to your point about the next 5 years, there's a couple of things at play here. And there's also, to your point about ESPN, I think this is important as well.
Well, going through the frequently asked questions, 2036 is when the grant of rights runs through.
Yes, and the
and
ACC,
when and what the grant of rights means is your media rights belong to the ACC. Even if you go to another conference, and another conference says, I'm going to pay you $100 million, cool. That $100 million goes to the ACC.
Right.
So that's what we're talking about here when you and I are both kind of like, I don't know where you're going. I don't know where you think you're going. And that doesn't mean you can't get a lawyer and hire somebody and see if you can't figure it out. But but as Bubba also said, there's a hard exit fee as well that would need to be negotiated.
A couple things to that, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I do feel like
sometimes you have to.
These are points that have to be made with the current state of the television business and the current state of the college business as well. And we're going to tie in the Pac-12 here in a second, plus a new report from Dan Wetzel and Nicole Auerbach as to who the Big Ten might be interested in bringing on.
And what Nicole says about the Big Ten, I trust.
Yes, I'm with you on that as well.
She's sourced up in the Big Ten.
Congrats to Nicole Auerbach. She just actually signed the new deal to be a college football insider for NBC Sports, as they're now being part of that Big Ten deal. So she's very well connected. So is Dan Wetzel, one of the nicest guys you'll meet in this business. Now, let's talk about the television business. New York Times had a very Ken Draper, who I always love his reporting, back when he was at Deadspin. Now he's at the New York Times. Had a really good deep dive as to the current financials of ESPN and what they're going through right now. ESPN has actually been surpassed by Fox Sports 1 in the amount of cable homes that they're in. That's a shock.
Interesting.
Now, FS1 is a lot cheaper than ESPN. Shout out to Robert, TV Sports Ratings on Twitter, who's a very interesting follow if you're into this nerdy media stuff, pointing out that Fox Sports 1 is probably charging around $2 per subscriber, whereas ESPN proper is charging around $10 per subscriber. When you throw in ESPN2, ESPNU, the ACC network, and everything else, you're running up to about $20 to $30 depending on the cable system. So ESPN's very expensive to have on your cable system, and cable systems distributors have started to push back on the necessary, whether or not ESPN is necessary. So ESPN has a lot of bills coming due. Okay. So to your point about the ACC, they just signed the Big 12. They've got the ACC on the hook through 2036, and they've got the SEC on the hook from around the same amount of time. They're locked in. They're not going to want to spend more money. So taking schools out of the ACC and putting them somewhere else doesn't make any sense for them. You always make a point about inventory. Again, that matters for ESPNU, ESPN2, the ACC network, SEC network, etc., and ABC proper. So you got the NBA coming up. That's going to go up in price if they want to keep the NBA. They also have their relationship with the NFL, which if they want Super Bowls, they want Monday Night Football,
keeps going up.
The cost of the brick continues to go up. When you combine their financial straits and the bills that are going to be due for other sports, top sports properties, ESPN is absolutely not in the business for overpaying for college sports they're already paying for right now, and in the long run ends up being a pretty good deal for them.
Yeah. Which
gets to the Fox portion of it. These things do not happen in a vacuum. If ESPN's going through it right now to the point where Bob Iger is openly talking about selling stakes in ESPN, what do you think Fox is going through? Fox makes a lot of money off the NFL, but scripted programming continues to tank as everything shifts over to streaming. Fox also has to be judicious about what they spend money on. And that also gets to the Big Ten. Hypothetically speaking, let's say Florida State does leave for the Big Ten. They haven't even gone through a 16-team schedule format yet with UCLA and Southern Cal. They don't know what travel is going to look like yet. You're telling me that in the next 2 years they're going to add this to their plate too? None of this makes any sense. And then, of course, there's the basic aspect of the grant of rights and what we started this conversation with. If you are about that life, if you think you can break the grant of rights, if you say that document's not the issue, then freaking do it already. But you can't, because you know in the back of your mind, you're just begging to be Maryland 2.0, because that's the other aspect of it. Okay, Florida State, your financial gap, fine, got it. You think it's insurmountable. So then what? You go to the Big Ten to be what? The fifth best team in that conference? What is something that we have talked about for years related to conference realignment? The college football playoff is about to expand. If you want access to the college football playoff,
which I think most schools want.
Last time I checked, that's what Florida State wants. Do you think Florida State and Clemson are going to have an easier chance getting into the expanded college football playoff as a member of the ACC where they can win the league, or being the fifth best team in the Big Ten with a bunch of money? You're just asking to be Maryland, and never go full Maryland. Never go full Maryland.
I do think they would be more competitive in the Big Ten. I do think they could win the Big Ten.
Against a bunch of teams they have nothing in common with?
I think they could win the Big Ten.
Okay.
They would have no chance of winning the SEC.
No, absolutely
They would
not.
have no chance.
Absolutely
under
not.
the current construction.
Now, as far as expansion is concerned, this gets us to Dan Wetzel and Nicole Auerbach. From Wetzel on Twitter, a group of Big Ten presidents have begun an exploratory discussion on expansion in light of the Pac-12 uncertainty. Industry sources tell Yahoo Sports focuses on possibly adding Oregon and Washington to move to 18 members, or Cal and Stanford to reach 20. You know,
look at that. I see Oregon on the AAU list. Look at that. I see Washington on the AAU list.
You see Stanford?
I'm not even going to
Is Stanford on that list?
Or Cal
I think
by looking them up. Okay.
I think Stanford's on that list, right?
Oregon and Washington are here.
So Wetzel continues, discussions are very early stages. No decision on expanding at all has been made or imminent. Big Ten may choose to wait and see what happens with other Pac-12 members, Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah. The Big 12 Conference, they're kind of tied to that before deciding whether to expand or not. Again, that's according to Dan Wetzel and his sources. Again, Florida State not named in there. So what's going on with the Pac-12? Well, the too long didn't read version of the Pac-12 is that they got an offer from Apple TV to stream all of their games. That is a subscription service. Apple TV has kind of positioned itself as the home for sports rights that broadcast and big cable don't want, so you go and run there. That's how MLS knocked out a 360 rights deal with Apple TV. Messi helps in driving up subscriptions. So if the Pac-12 signs with Apple TV, are they also expanding to add Messi? Because if Messi plays in the Big 12, I can see where this might work for the Pac-12 in terms of subscribers. This is important because with broadcast television, they pay you a sum of money to broadcast their games, and then it's up to them to sell it. So ESPN pays the ACC a bunch of money to broadcast their games, and then they go and try to make money off of that. When it comes to Apple TV, they're trying to base things off of subs, all right? And this is
like The Athletic.
Right. This is from Pete Thamel at ESPN. According to sources, the first year of what's expected to be a relatively short-term contract with Apple would start in 2024-25 and begin relatively low relative to the league's hopes. But the deal, sources said, would incrementally improve and potentially be competitive with its peers in the Big 12 and the ACC down the road. Here's the key part. Provided certain subscription numbers are met. Joe, you've been in the paywall business. You've been in the sub business. What do you got?
It's
not easy, baby.
It is not easy to get people to pay for anything.
No, it's not.
You better have a deep resource, a deep well of people to shoot from, because not all of them, if you get a 10th of them that are your fans, then you'd probably be doing okay. And that's where this all comes from, though. The Big Ten, huge schools, huge alumni, huge student bases, like just huge. This isn't Wake Forest with 3,000 students.
Yeah.
This isn't even Duke that has a huge national brand, but only 4,000 students.
Right.
This is, you're talking Wisconsin, you're talking Indiana, 40, 50,000, the Ohio State and Penn State. Geez, they got like $100,000 running around on all their different campuses. Like, it's crazy. That's what you're trying to compete with. Oregon can't do that. Washington can't do that. The Arizona schools, I mean, hats to my people at Arizona State, man. I was impugning them. But
and that's the other thing. What you see with the Pac-12 and the schools that are remaining, there's been some talk or speculation that, hey, why doesn't the ACC and the Pac-12 merge? Well, again, it gets back to distribution.
But what does a merger get you?
The merger just gets you more mouths to feed, which is an issue. Number one. Number two, again, I can't stress this enough. It's about being able to clear distribution. The Pac-12 has already had a hard enough time clearing distribution with the teams they have remaining. The Big Ten got the two biggest prizes out of that with UCLA and Southern Cal out of the market they're in. And
whoa. Can we also be a little bit obvious, make an obvious point about Fox?
And that is
Fox is based in LA. Fox has poured all of this money into the Big Ten.
Absolutely.
Do you know what they wanted?
They want LA.
They wanted to go in their backyard and watch Ohio State and Michigan play in the Rose Bowl.
Those are brands
and play in their backyard.
Those are brands that make sense for them.
Of course.
If the ACC were to do some sort of, broadcast partnership, the ACC would be in the same position the Pac-12 is in now, trying to get clearance on networks. It won't happen. And as I get back to my point about ESPN, these moves are made years in advance. Yeah. What is the allotment of money going to be? Much like Giglio is looking at ways to add an OG mobile to the LLC.
Yeah, why are you
ESPN
so down on that?
is about that. Yeah, you can steal that chair. So they're looking at the OG mobile down the line. They got to pay for the NBA, man. Just like you're looking at the OG mobile down the line.
Well,
Joe.
now I have a new goal. I want to raise 30 G's to play in the Pro-Am.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a little bit. Shout out to Home Field for being a part of OVIES and Giglio. If you have not purchased a Home Field shirt, sweater, hoodie, go to the website right now, homefieldapparel.com. Use the promo code OG23 to get 15% off your purchase.
Remember when I told you that steak and cheese from the Butcher's Market is the best sandwich in Raleigh?
Yes.
And people were like, Then they tried it yes, you're right.
Yes.
Remember I told you Oakwood Pizza Box, best pizza, not only in Raleigh, but North Carolina. Then you tried it. You're these hoodies from Home Field?
Yeah.
No joke. They're like a hug.
They are.
They're soft. I think the words they use are buttery.
Buttery. I pulled it up on
that is the word that perfectly describes how comfortable they are.
Mm-hmm.
And but they're not like these World War II heat hoodies. They're very breathable and forgiving, and they're comfortable.
Yes.
They're you always yell at me for wearing a hoodie in the summer.
I know.
But in the air conditioning, you need it. And I'm telling you, this is the perfect hoodie for that.
So I'm pulling up. These are the UNC shirts and hoodies that they have.
The classic designs.
You're not thinking hoodies right now, but trust me, you're going to thank us later when you buy a hoodie. Use that promo code OG23
for real.
15% off your first purchase at Home Field.
The ECU one that I got, James.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
I love the ECU stuff. I like the Carolina stuff too. And
Carolina stuff is good.
Intern Cal's a Virginia fan, and now that Denny McCarthy and I are friends. He's going to get one of those. So.
And I pulled up the NC State. If you're getting ready for basketball season, actually, they got a quarter zip that you might be interested in, Joe. And they've got the 83 stuff. They've got the sweatpants.
Download the app, man. I'm telling you, go get the app. It's the easiest thing. If I'm telling you to get the app, look, download the app. Go type in Home Field in your Apple apps. Type it in. Get it down. Use the code 15% off.
OG23, baby.
Trust me, man. You're not going to need too many of these things.
OG23.
They're unbelievable.
That is the move. Also, shout out to State Farm. for sponsoring OVIES and Giglio. Matt Davis, you can give him a call at 919-779-8277. I've been a State Farm customer for 20 plus years, going on 30 years, actually, come to think of it. State Farm always gets it done. State Farm insurance agent in Garner, though, for Matt Davis. Again, give him a call at 919-779-8277.
Yeah, Google Matt Davis and State Farm. He's going to be the first one that pops up.
Yeah.
Home insurance, auto insurance, life insurance. As I've learned, pet insurance. As Bon Jovi gets a little bit older.
That's huge, man.
Trust me, man. So all the things, Matt's got them covered. His whole crew over there off of Abersboro Road in Garner, they do an amazing job. Matt also does financial services. Things I did not know, that he's been tremendous in helping us get this business off the ground. He could do the same for you.
Move on.
Joe, I met somebody who's actually living your dream.
Man. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed I didn't think of it.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed I'm not that good to do it, to pull it off.
Fat Perez joining us here at Wyndham. So, all right. Your real name is not Fat Perez.
It's not, no.
But you got coined Fat Perez because you look like Pat Perez.
Yeah,
but not.
So, yeah, I guess the long hair.
The hair's
there.
Yeah.
People say a similar, like, face shape, I guess. I don't know. I don't. That's a tough break for him, I would say. But, yeah, it was just a nickname given to me back home at a local club of my buddies. And, I didn't love it at the time. I don't think anybody would necessarily love a nickname like that. But they wouldn't let it go. And when all of this kind of world popped up, it kind of gave me a head start. Like, it just gave me a little bit of a quick hit for people, right? Like, Nick Stubbe's my real name. Like, no one cares.
Nobody cares about
if
him.
Nick Stubbe's, making putts and drinking beers and Euro stepping, but Fat Perez just kind of rolls off the tongue. So,
dude, you're selling
in some ways,
hoodies.
I owe my asshole friends a thank you for not letting it die, I guess.
You're selling hoodies now, man. Come on.
I know, it's wild.
You got
man.
merch? You got all kind of stuff.
I got merch, and we got the stuff on the Bob Does Sports, the channel we have.
Yeah.
We've got Breezy Golf, so the
love
polos we
that
got
polo.
here, and the Have a Day hats that you might see out here. It's been cool, man. We got a little really passionate following behind us, and we're just dudes out, like you said, like living the dream, and
Yeah, I heard a
we're
room-
just
I
doing
With
our
30
thing.
G's laying around to play in the Pro-Am, too, eh?
Oh, well, no, I don't. Thank goodness. No, they were nice enough to have me here, which was awesome of them. So, I paid for a hotel, and I'm cool with that. Seems like a good trade to me.
Who'd you get to play with?
Played with Taylor Pendrith the first nine.
Nice.
And then played with Doug Gimm on the back. So we had a good time. We're super close with Bo Hostler and his caddy, Big Wave Dave. And they're close with Taylor and his caddy. So it was cool. They gave a little background. So there's a little chirping going on early of stuff I didn't think they knew, but they found out. So it was a fun day.
Pendrith, one of the longest hitters on the tour.
Pumps the ball, man.
Like, what was that like with him?
It's crazy,
Did
man.
you play the par 5 with him?
We played the back nine with him.
Okay.
So I think it was 17, our eighth hole, when I'm back there with this caddy and stuff, and they're talking about hitting 3-wood or 3-iron. And they're like, I like 3 irons. Like 3 irons, 250. And I'm like, oh my god,
Different
so
world,
it's got this
man.
driving iron that's, if I neck a driver, I'm hoping to get 250 out of it. So it's wild, man. He swings big. He's a big guy that swings big, and it's cool to watch.
Have
These guys are
I was going to say,
unbelievable.
how have the pros kind of been with you and with other golf influencers, if you will?
Yeah, I think
Because I feel like you guys are helping golf. Like, and
that's what we're trying
golf
to do.
kind of needs to get a younger audience,
of course.
too, right? Like,
we're trying to be relatable. We're trying to not, bring, just kind of your weekend golfer buddies, public course vibe to the forefront a little bit. And, we love interacting with these guys either on our podcast or on our YouTube channel because, when they're out here, they're working, right? So, it's entertainment, but at the end of the day, they need to get in the mindset to make money. And when they come on our channel, they can be themselves and have a good time. And I think Keegan Bradley's a perfect example of that. I think he's a super intense guy for your Saturday, Sunday golf viewer. The way he like side eyes putts and like goes into the drive and stuff. But our video with him, you see a different side of him where he just opens up and he's a fun guy to be around. And a lot of the comments were that exact same thing. It's like, oh, I didn't know I liked Keegan Bradley this much. So,
did you just ask him, like, tell me a Jordan story? Is that
and like he's one of the guys that's kind of been with us since the beginning, and so we've kind of built up a rapport. We interacted with him for a long time before we had him on, so it was very easy. Some of the other guys, it's a little bit like we try to either like have dinner with somebody or have lunch beforehand. so you can kind of get the
Prime
first
the pump a little bit there.
just get the meeting out.
Yeah.
Like, don't waste 2 or 3 holes meeting somebody. Like, get right into it and be able to kind of have fun from the jump.
Who have you not golfed with that you need to golf with? Who's the whale right now? Who are you trying to get? Who you chasing?
Like a tour player,
Yeah,
or
who you
just in
chasing right
general? I mean, it's like
TJ Khaled.
DJ Powell would be like the non-one, right? That's a big one for us.
Yeah.
I think it's like every other conversation around golf, like who's got the best swing other than Tiger? Who's your favorite golfer other than Tiger?
So
that's
than
like
Tiger,
other than Tiger.
other
What's
than
that
Tiger.
answer, right? Yeah, I think Khaled, but like out here, like, you know, we've interacted with Spieth, and I think McIlroy obviously would be a massive guy to have, and I think he'd be really good. And I mean, really, we're cool to have anybody. Like, we've done Homa. At this point, we've done Hostler. Homo was great.
Yeah.
He shot 60 with us. 60. It was wild. He lipped out edged a 12-footer for 59. It was crazy. Bo Hostler and Keegan are kind of our main guys. So we don't, you know, we're down for everybody.
See, Joe,
you know, top to bottom.
He's an inspiration. You got to get people out to Eagle Ridge.
We're trying. We have an OG golf tournament. You're welcome to it.
There you go.
We get
Come
Ethan.
out.
We
Yeah,
get
yeah.
Ethan with the camera. They follow you around. We talked to some golfers.
I'll save a spot for you. We sold out, but I'll make an exception.
We'll make space. We'll make
All right.
If you're back in
I'll
North
sneak
Carolina
in.
in October, you let us know.
Nobody will even know I'm there, man.
So what's the secret to selling merch, man?
Yeah, help us.
I don't know,
Help us.
man.
We just got fired, so we're like going we got fired
Help
from our
us.
radio job, so we're doing this
Okay.
independent thing, and we got to sell merch. What's the secret to selling merch?
We could sell
that's
ads, but we're struggling with the merch.
It's a good question. We're fortunate to kind of have a mothership behind us,
Yeah.
a media group called Doing Things.
Yeah.
That started, you know, we started Breezy with, that runs the Have a Day stuff, and they've got a big. There's a lot of Instagram accounts that kind of meme accounts that we would all know, like drunk people doing things, like Shithead
okay.
Steve, like those
Okay.
ones.
Oh, yeah,
So
I
they
know.
run. They've had that history of stuff. They selling like the defund the IRS shirts
Yes.
and all these crazy things.
Yes.
So they have a good system. So we, you know, the trick is to go with somebody that can do it. For me, on my personal merch, like my Fat Perez website merch, the greatest I've found is just the organic stuff. So like you just hope, or like put a little something in there that says like share your shirt on Instagram, and if they tag you, that's like a good opportunity to like share it.
All right.
And put your link without like
Bombarding.
you don't feel like someone like is selling to you when you're just
Right.
like sharing it, and then they're going to reshare it. So that's the kind of organic growth that, you know, we've kind of come out of, I feel like.
All right, man. We appreciate it. We need all the tips. We're learning here, man. We're learning.
Look, man, I was an accountant before all this. This thing kind of came out of nowhere for me, and you know, people are like, how do I build a thing? I was like, for me, it's like, you know, link up with some guys that's already got a good thing going, and then have a cool nickname. I mean, I got more lucky than, you know, I don't have a secret sauce, unfortunately.
But you can play.
I can play a little bit.
Yeah.
I played pretty well today. I think I had 5 or 6 birdies out there today.
I
I played pretty well.
I was told you're like a scratch golfer, man. Come on, you play what, Hampton
right
Sydney,
around
right?
there. My other guys, so I do the show, we do the Bob Does Sports with 2 other guys.
Yeah.
They're both like 12 to 15 handicaps.
Okay.
So I'm kind of the guy that's just laughing at them and saving their ass. So when we play with pros, we do like 3-man scramble versus the pro.
Yeah.
And then so it's sort of like they'll give me a couple putts, give me some reads, hit a good shot every now and then I'm just the kind of safety net for us. It's a fun thing, man. We have a good dynamic going.
I love it. I love it. Hey, man, thanks for coming by.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
having me, guys.
That's 3-pointer, I believe.
You got goals now?
I do.
Pat
Yeah.
Perez?
Oh,
You ready?
are you
got
kidding?
goals? You got goals, dude?
You know what's hysterical about that? Obviously, he's a little bit of a bigger guy.
Yeah.
My uncle Vito was tremendous golfer, tremendous.
Mhm.
And I remember playing with him when he was in his 60s down here in Pinehurst, and people would look at him and be like, "What does this guy know about golf?" And then he would birdie the first 2 holes. And I remember we played at Pinehurst National back when it was called Pinehurst National, and he birdied the first 2 holes. And the guy says to him, he goes, "So what did you say you do besides play golf?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "It's what I do." He goes, How often do you play golf, Vito?" He goes, 8 days a week, which he did. But Vito could really play.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that Fat's got going for him is he could play.
Yeah,
Like,
he
you
can
can't
play.
just get out there and be a jerk.
That's your issue.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Like, obviously he's got some charisma, but I'm saying you got to be able to play and show these guys. Like,
Yeah,
and there's also that element of like, oh, wait a second. You could probably start hustling some people too, because V did a little bit of that too. So.
You could. Shout out to Oak City Sports Cards. No hustling there. Get your cards graded. You think you got something of value? Take it to Weston. He can look at it. They'll get that thing graded, and you'll truly know what you have in terms of that card collection. Hey, look, sometimes it can be disappointing. What you have is junk, but at least you know. But you also could be pleasantly surprised and find out. We've had a lot of people come out and say, hey, went down to Weston, really, really happy with what Oak City Sports Card. If you're looking for something, chances are you can find it there, and you can also play that game and get that new Bowman stuff and all the other new cards that are autographed and everything else ahead of the football season.
They got a lot of good cards, great selection there. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. If you want to know what you have, best way to do it is get it graded. Weston's going to help you with that. Go check them out downtown Raleigh or online, oakcitycards.com.
Also, shout out to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority for sponsoring OVIES and Giglio. I use Mosquito Authority. My backyard has been good. It's gross this time of the year, although today out here at Wyndham, a little overcast, but ultimately temperature-wise pretty good. We've had a lot of rain this summer. That leads to a lot of mosquito breeding, and Mosquito Authority can help keep that in check. And as hot as it's been, you got critters that are trying to get in your house, ants, roaches, etc. They can handle that too.
As my sister found out this week, they're in the termites now too.
Woo! That's not good.
We're A to Z, man.
That is not
well,
good.
Well, no, they have the coverage. They've expanded.
That's good. But it's also not good that those things are coming through. That's not great. But again, Pest Authority, Mosquito Authority can handle that. Check it out, bugsbite.com. You see where the QB tier, Mike Sando's QB tiers came out, Joe. This is yet another kind of quarter poll to let you know we're getting close to the start of the football season. Sando's been doing this for a long time, and he basically talks to a lot of folks throughout college football, a lot of folks throughout the NFL, coaches, scouts, assistants, etc. And you're going to be shocked by this, that Patrick Mahomes, as he puts it, has no equal in his 10th edition of the quarterback tiers, although Joe Burrow is close behind him. So Patrick Mahomes ends up being the top tier of the top tier. And he was the unanimous tier 1 choice for a third time in the past 4 seasons. He has commanded a top tier recognition on 199 out of 200 ballots over that time, best in the league. That's weird, Joe, because last time I checked, you were telling me Patrick Mahomes just, going to get a real test as to how good the team was around him. What did Patrick Mahomes go and do, Joe?
Thought he was going to miss Tyreek Hill. I think he actually did. But Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, it's a great combo, knows how to use his number 1 weapon. Yeah. Staying healthy. Maybe he just needs me to bet against him like I didn't, or bet on him.
Do it again.
Do
it again. Joe Burrow was number 2. Burrow climbed from the bottom of tier 1 last year to the very top, overtaking Justin Herbert. The Herbert Hive is not going to be happy with this. And Josh Allen along with Aaron Rodgers getting in there. So if you look at the rest of this tier, you got Burrow number 2, Josh Allen 3, Aaron Rodgers 4, Justin Herbert 5, rounding out that tier. I find it surprising that Aaron Rodgers is still a top tier quarterback, at this age, and also I guess it gets back to what you said the other day. Like, if you want a regular season QB to get that thing done, Aaron Rodgers is going to get it done, man. Every single time.
I don't know why people are confused over what he's been able to do during the regular season. Take every shot you wanted him about the postseason and the issues that he's had there. But regularly, the way that he performs in the regular season, he's the best regular season quarterback of all time.
I got no problems with the tier 2, which starts with Jalen Hurts with the Eagles, Lamar Jackson with the Baltimore Ravens, Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott. Although there seems to be a referendum on Dak Prescott and just how good he is and whether or not the Dallas Cowboys need to move on from him this year, depending on how that season goes. Matt Stafford, Deshaun Watson, Kirk Cousins. Again, Kirk Cousins is a stat accumulator. I don't know if in crunch time I want Kirk Cousins to be my guy, but Kirk Cousins can rack you up some fantasy points during the regular season. Now we get into the third tier, and the part that I found interesting, and we'll close on this, Russell Wilson dropped into the third tier of Sando's tier listing. Wilson's drop in average tier vote from 1.72 last season to 2.8 this season is the largest one-year decline in the 10-year history of the quarterback tiers. Quote, this is from an offensive coordinator, quote, I think he was out of shape. I think he was reading his own press clippings last year. I think they bent over backwards for him in the trade, and he had them by the short hairs. Nice quote there. But I think Sean Payton is going to get the most out of him. It would not surprise me if he plays well this year, end quote. And that really is the great equation, right? You brought Sean Payton out of the Fox booth to get something out of Russell Wilson. And with Russell Wilson, who reads his own press clippings, nobody's more aware of what people are saying about Russell Wilson quite like Russell Wilson. Is that going to motivate him again to prove the haters wrong, right? I've said this. I miss my haters, man. I miss my haters. People have been way too nice about this podcast. I appreciate the 5 stars. But you know me, Joe. I am fueled by a level of petty. And if I can prove the haters wrong, I will do it. So maybe Russell Wilson finds himself in that situation this year as it relates to shutting down the haters, right?
I mean, my thing with Russ is he's got to run more. He's got to get back to who he was. If he's physically capable of doing that, I think he's going to be fine. I also think he kind of underestimated what the rest of the league thought of him.
Yeah.
And while he had his detractors in Seattle, there were still people who supported him in that locker room.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he struggled in the Denver locker room to win over the other players on the offense because they haven't seen firsthand the magic that he is capable of performing.
Mm-hmm.
Big shouts to Breeze Through for sponsoring OVIES and Giglio. We got a potentially cool event coming up in September that we're ironing out some details. I can't say too much.
Oh, okay.
But there's some things that are going to happen in September.
News to me on the OG.
What? We talked about this on the drive over here before you got
before the
over.
ticket.
Before the ticket. But that's another story altogether. So we got some things cooking with Breeze Through that I'm excited about. But in the meantime, drop on by, get not just good gas prices, but really an awesome inside with the beer cave. I know the location over by PNC. It's got the Crowlers. You're going out to a run of shows at Walnut Creek. Again, walk into that beer cave, get water, get snacks, all the things you need for a tailgate. Breeze Through can handle that. And the tumbler, lifetime refills.
Yeah, the Breeze Through markets, man, they've been so good to us. Adam and his crew. You know you're going to be there across from the arena on Edwards Mill Road. They have so much more, though. So please check them out. I found one on 4042 the other day. Just totally by accident.
Awesome.
It was like, I looked up and I'm like, where am I going to? There were like 3 gas choices for real.
Yeah.
And I looked up and I'm like, wait a second.
What's going on
That's
here?
a Breeze Through. That's my spot.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Also love everybody who's been tweeting about Butcher's Market with the steak and cheese, the steak tips, like everybody knows, the jalapeno garlic charred chicken, which is a big favorite of mine.
The hot dogs.
Hot dogs
Man.
are money. But again, grilling necessities. They've got it. If you're looking for a specific type of wood to smoke, you're looking for pellets, you're looking for a particular type of charcoal, you're looking for a particular type of seasoning. Butcher's Market has it. It is a nerd geeky fest for grilling. They got everything you need there. So drop on by their locations throughout the triangle. Pick up some meats, but better yet, pick up that grilling necessities like charcoal, seasoning, everything else as you get ready for tailgate season.
Next topic, please.
Giglio, this is a treat. Typically, we do panic rooms with Brownlow.
But this is a panic room.
It's a different kind of panic room. It's a golf panic room with Randy Brownlow.
Love it.
Lauren's dad. What's up, Randy? How are you, man?
Hey, good guys.
So we joke about OGs, right? OVIES GIGLIO, but you're like an actual Sedgefield OG.
Oh yeah.
So you started working here? What's the timeline with Sedgefield and you?
I transferred to my 5th college in '74
All right.
as a 9th-year junior. No, I transferred to Guilford and got a job here within a week.
Okay.
I came to work here in September or October of '74.
What was the first job?
Job?
Yeah, what was that first job?
Cleaning clubs and parking
That's
cars.
it? Just parking cars? Okay. And
I worked through college, and then a member hired me. I went to work for him. I took the summer off, played tournaments.
Yeah.
Went to work for him in August, and
I was going to say, you're really good. It had to come from somewhere.
practice.
Oh, stop it. You're like the
I'm
unofficial.
not like Iverson. I like to practice.
So when did you become a member at Sedgefield?
77.
77?
Yeah,
Okay.
Got out of school in 76. And
Now, theoretically, a lot of people run this place, but I've been told that you're really the one who runs this place. You're the unofficial mayor of
That's what he
Sedgefield.
would say.
no,
That's what OGs say.
Right.
They don't tell you that.
that might be, but I don't run it.
So how much has this course changed?
I was going to say, what's changed in 50
Well,
years?
I guess it was in about 99 or 2000 they redid the course. And
Okay.
Chris Spence came in and redid it, and he made a lot of his own personal changes. It's kind of a Donald Ross / Spence now with some of the green shapes. But he came in and did that. So it's mostly in the greens. And then they did a little bunker moving and removing. We did that, and about 8 years later, we put in Bermuda grass
Okay.
on the greens.
What's your best score out here?
65. With a bogey.
What did you shoot last week or 2 weeks ago?
86. I was pretty good about it. I was pretty happy about it.
84, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 42-42.
Yeah.
42-42.
See, I remember.
Yeah.
Teresa showed me the post.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, is that okay? That's what it was.
I had a 3-putt on 10 and a 3-putt on 11. Other than that, I was happy with the round. Like, I birdied 15. Par's a good score for me.
The lake hole.
Yeah. Par's a good score for me. Like,
You know what I didn't
I'm
realize?
a British Open golfer. I'm not a Wyndham Championship
Keep it
golfer.
on the ground.
Yeah,
Is that what it is?
I could scramble with the best of them, but I could scramble for par.
You know what I didn't realize? Can you hit a ball from this course and get it onto the Grandover course? They're very close. I did not realize how close those were.
I don't think so.
I did not. I know Sedgefield exists. This is the first time I've ever been out here. I did not realize how close we were when we would go to Grandover for a variety of ACC things. No wonder the office is right there, right by this golf course, because it makes it, or at least it made it easy for Swafford just to come on over and hang out at the golf course, right? That must have been what it was. So I am curious, though. Giglio and golf seems to be like this love-hate relationship. You've never quit. Have you ever considered quitting because you've gotten so frustrated with the game?
No, that's when you work harder and you get through it.
This is how you get to 65.
that
This is
what it
why
is?
I'm at 84.
Also, how's your back and neck compared to this guy? Because this one's still applying icy hot
But my
onto his
neck's
neck.
still red. Other than that, it's
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, other than that, well, I mean, heck, you're out here at Guilford College. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit on the
Little
rednecks.
maroon.
Yeah, a little bit, just a little bit. No, but Joe can't even sit in a chair without needing some icy hot, you know?
The struggle's real, man. It's
No,
real.
basically you do get frustrated in golf, but usually it's when your mind's trying to figure out your swing instead of just playing the game.
Yep, it's all mental.
I don't want to call you like Caddyshack in real life, but I kind of get the sense that there is a Caddyshack in real life here. I mean, you met Teresa here, right?
Yes, but that wasn't part of the Caddyshack.
Oh, so you know what it is? This is paid YouTube members only. We've been trying to figure out what to do for like a membership tier. I feel like there's stories of the GGO, stories of Sedgefield that we could do for membership only. But come on, are you telling me that you met Teresa at an event? Is that how that happened?
Met her beside the 9th green. They came over to say hello, and I met her there.
Yeah.
And she had the Farrah Fawcett wings.
Teresa's like, enough.
So we talked during the tournament, and Sunday night they had a workers' party.
Yeah.
For all the workers. And she had a boyfriend, so we just talked.
Oh, I see. You had a boyfriend. Oh, an NC State boyfriend?
That feels like NC State shit right there,
That really
doesn't
is.
it?
That is law of the wolf. That is absolute law of the wolf. So hold on a second. So when did you shoot your shot? Not at the GGO? When did you shoot your shot? Like, what was the line? Like, hey, let's go out. When did that happen? Was she still with the boyfriend at that time?
They were still dating, but we were going out on Thursday night to dance club.
I see.
A group of people.
And then they broke up?
Probably about, I think, over the summer.
Summer,
Yeah.
that's when breakups
That's when breakups happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when you said,
Totally natural.
here's my time?
Yeah, I'm in.
It was the hair.
I said, yeah.
Might need a picture now.
I called her the Flying Nun with those wings. She didn't like that one.
I can see that look is not an approving look right now.
You know what, though?
But that's love.
You know what, though? I know where Lauren gets it now. You want to know where Lauren's eye roll comes from? You like the world-famous Lauren Brownlow eye roll that I screen grab all the time? It's from Teresa. Just say
We
it.
just saw it. But now wait a second. This is a good story, but you're saying though for the tournament itself, you might be ready for the Wyndham not to be at Sedgefield every year?
I would be fine with it being gone.
You'd be okay.
Yeah.
If it,
So how much golf do you miss in the summer when they set this up as a member?
Oh, you don't miss much. It's
Okay.
just they're around making noise, clanging, dropping metal poles on each other, and standing in front of you on the tee. And
It kind of messes with the experience, is what you're saying.
And then and we lose a week prior to the tournament.
I see.
And then the week before that, you're cart path only. And when you get my age, you want to stay.
Well, I
on
was
the
going to say,
fairway.
where are you hitting from now on a normal day?
Senior tees.
How
or,
old?
Or the whites. I play them both.
How old were you when you were able to hit them from the professional tees? How long ago could you have hit from where they're hitting from?
Probably 15 years ago.
Okay.
You get old, you start losing swing speed.
Trust me.
Joe knows
I'm
all
there,
about
man.
that. Joe knows all about
This one
that.
over there already hitting it past me. Like, super humbling. You like it when the pros come here and score crazy low?
I don't care.
You don't care?
No. I mean, really, it's just they do it everywhere except the majors.
Do you care more about the Dolphins than about low scores?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's what I thought.
I'd rather the Dolphins go undefeated again.
Huge Dolphin guy.
Again.
Now they just got to protect Tua. Although you were, yeah, right, because that's super easy to do. Although you were hyping up Tua earlier because we were talking about those Mike Sando QB tiers, and I pointed out that Tua's like I think in the 3rd tier or whatever it is, and you're like he's changed his body, he's got the sleeve, he's ready to go.
He can stay healthy. I have
That's
full
really what it
confidence
is,
in
right?
Miami. I don't have confidence that he's going to stay healthy.
Well, and his arm, he doesn't have a cannon.
Right. No.
Like Drake May's kind of got a cannon.
Yeah.
He just has a pretty good arm, but he's pretty good on those intermediates.
All right.
He's got the right coach too.
Yeah, that helps. That helps for Tua.
You're still good with Mac Brown 2.0. Shrug. I see the shrug.
That was such a shoulder shrug.
No, hey, just win.
Okay.
That's
I mean,
the
they
deal.
were in the championship game last year.
I feel like that's the mantra of UNC athletics for football and basketball this upcoming season. Like, guys, just win, right?
Yeah, beat people. That's all we care about.
All right. In the case of basketball, make the tournament again.
Yeah,
That would be helpful.
exactly.
I know I've blacked that thing out, but are you ready to get rid of Hubert? Are you in the Carolina fan portion of the Carolina fan base that Joe's trying to educate me about?
He's fine.
Okay.
No, Randy's good. I see him at the Smith
You were
Center
in
all the
New
time.
Orleans?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on. It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
He keeps telling me that doesn't matter anymore.
Well, we'll see after
Going
this
to
year.
the title game.
We'll see if this year. We'll see this year if that matters or not. We'll see if this year it
Joe
matters or
just
not.
needs something to talk about.
You know me
fair.
very well. You know me very well. All right, Randy. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
We're moving on.
Joining us on the Easter Automotive Group Hotline is the director of golf at Sedgefield. Now, we just got done talking to Randy Brownlow, Lauren's dad. Lauren's father's nickname is the Big Dog on the course, but he's informed me that you're the real dog at Sedgefield area. Is that true?
We'll go with that. Yes.
Okay, you're going to go with that. You're going to go with that. So, Joe's been bringing this up a lot when it comes to the professional golfers and shooting low scores here. Does it bother you that the pros are shooting low here?
Not
Or
at all.
Could shoot low here?
Not at all. I think the biggest thing, people got to understand that they're getting the premium conditions week in, week out. This golf course is not that easy. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
So
No,
it
it's
just
not.
goes to
As Joe knows.
Yeah.
As Joe knows.
it just goes to really show you how good these guys are. And conditions when they're perfect, they can shoot scores that many think that are not out there, but they are.
Come on, it hurts your feelings just a little bit when you have to change the par 5 to a par 4 on 18.
Absolutely.
Come on, you've dumped a few in there.
Yes, absolutely. That's tough to swallow sometimes, but it's awesome though. It really is.
How do you feel like Sedgefield holds up to let's compare it to the other Ross courses that are used on the tour. I was looking at the PGA this year. Obviously, the event up there in New York was a Ross course. The Rocket Mortgage every year is played up in Detroit. Do you look at it that way, or how do you kind of look at it when you think about how the course holds up against these guys?
I really look at our venue as kind of being very unique. I know these courses, everything is comparison. Just with us being in North Carolina, we're always going to be compared to number 2 down at Pinehurst. But, our green complexes are fairly different, even though we, are still a Donna Ross golf course. It's tier top or tabletop at number 2, and it's more just has runoffs and mounding here, and these runoffs create for some very difficult up and downs if these guys miss these greens this week.
It has to, when you see so many guys with local ties, Alex Smalley, and I see Webb, and I know Webb hasn't been playing as much, but when I see him out here, I know he's going to play well here. I miss Harold Varner not being here. Alex, though, in particular, with that, this is his home course.
It is.
That has to mean something, right? Like
it does. Alex is one of the nicest young men I've ever met in my life, and So
you're not a Carolina fan?
Absolutely not.
Okay, see?
For the record.
So Joe doesn't know Alex Smalley is a Duke golfer, but also a member out here.
Got it.
So you know how Carolina people can be. We didn't ask Randy about Alex Smalley.
No, we did.
You know sometimes they're okay with state people. It's the Duke people that they can't handle. So,
but no, he's great. At first when he was here, he always keeps to himself. We try to make sure not to bother him, but I will always go and speak to him and just make sure if he needs something, I want to make him feel as welcome as possible when he's here. But, like Randy and a couple other members are kind of close with him, and we'll go and speak and talk to him when he's out here practicing. But, it's his office, and he's doing all of his work here. Unlike us, a 9 to 5 inside, he's outside. So just let him do his own thing when he's here.
How much does having the tournament take away from your annual calendar, and how many members were like,
it can be a lot at times, or what the membership sometimes feels that way. But really, when you look at it, we have an advance week the week before the tournament, and then we'll be closed for the tournament. So basically, they're down about 2.5 weeks, give or take. Once we get back, because what people don't realize, we're not operational on the Monday after; it's the Tuesday after. So the spot we're in right now, Margaritaville, this has to become a parking lot on Tuesday morning. So there's a lot of work to be done on Monday to get back operational.
Maybe I'm asking the wrong person. I'm totally okay with the ACC going to Charlotte. I will not be okay, though, if the PGA Tour is not played in Greensboro.
Correct. This is a long-standing venue, and we got the sweet spot on the calendar. With us being the last event before the playoffs, we can draw a very good crowd, and this year I think it's 67 of the top 100, and we're low on the top 30. I think we only have 7 or 8 players, but if you look at it, this tournament means a lot. They have a lot to play for. There's several guys that are guys we see in the top 10, and they're struggling this year. So this is a very important week, and even though they're here to have fun, you can just see there's a little bit of tension and stress on some players' faces all week.
Yeah, the first time I told Denny McCarthy that he was going to win this week, he looked at me and I was out with my son Jackson. We were on the 17th hole. He kind of ignored me. I hate Virginia, and I said, "Go Hoos!" And then finally he birdied the hole. I said, "I'm telling you, man, this is your week. This is ACC country. Don't tell Alex I said that, but this is ACC country.
Absolutely,
you're going to bring this thing home." And finally, he was like, "Oh, okay." I go, "Good vibes, man. The good vibes are coming your way.
Yes,
coming your way." So I love that there's so many ACC guys here, and
we
so many
do
of the familiar names, and Justin Hadley, Raleigh, Akshay Bhatia, another triangle guy. I love being able to see those guys and come down here and see them play this course.
Right, and Cheson's really close with Mr. McConnell, and they're really close friends. And the good thing about Chesson is I don't know if you get another person as positive as he is, no matter what's going on in life. So, and Webb the same way. Golf is their job and their sport, but it doesn't define the person that they are, which is really neat to see.
Well, Eric, thanks for dropping by. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Looks like things weather-wise will be good. Typical August grossness. Not present today.
Not today.
Not today. I love it. Today is perfect.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, if McConnell moves you to Raleigh Country Club and you move the tournament there, I guess I'll be okay with that. But until that happens, let's keep this thing in Greensboro.
We'll stay here.
And I was going to say, think of Randy, but Randy might actually like that.
Yeah, he'd be okay with that.
Randy might be okay with that.
Then he would be the real dog.
That's true. Eric, appreciate it, man.
Yep. Thank you.
Next topic, please.
All right, joining us on the Easter Automotive Group hotline from Margaritaville. How many land sharks am I in right now, Joe?
I think you're okay.
I think I've lost count.
I'm driving, so
well,
no more speeding tickets.
Yeah, let's cruise control, Joe. cruise control
Work on that.
the way back. Bobby Powell's the tournament director of the Wyndham. He's joining us right now. Bobby, thanks for the hospitality, having us hang out in Margaritaville.
Pretty good spot
man.
here, isn't it?
It's not bad. It's not bad. So everybody loves this event. Why?
Well, lots of reasons, and our slogan, "This is the place to be." I was just telling somebody recently, actually in Margaritaville a few years ago, this hit me like a ton of bricks of why our tournament makes sense to so many people. So I saw this couple, a little bit older couple. They came in. It was a little bit quiet earlier on in the day before it got really, really busy. And I saw the husband kiss his wife goodbye and say, "I'll see you in a couple hours." And I thought that was just kind of weird. And really what it was, he went out to go watch his favorite player. She could care less about golf. She wanted no part of it. I watched her order a margarita.
Yeah.
She stayed here, enjoyed it, and 2 hours later, they were both really happy. She didn't see one shot of golf. He got to see his favorite player, and I was like, well,
Sounds like me and Joe.
That sounds like our relationship,
There's
Joe.
something to
I'm just
it.
going to hang here, drink some land sharks while you go walk the course.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
really-
that's what we're doing.
And that, that's a microcosm, I guess, of really what it's all about. Look, it's first week of August. It's hot. We're in North Carolina.
Yeah.
There's typically hot, muggy conditions. Sometimes there's thunderstorms, et cetera. So we learned, frankly, by going to see other events that, some of these events don't cover their bleachers or their general public areas. And we just quickly realized that that's just not an option. It just has to be a cost of doing business. And so what's been great about it is we've had our corporate partners like Margaritaville, who had a relationship with Wyndham and still does. And so they've come in, and we've gotten really creative over the last 15 years or so of making sure that we had those areas. So we have the Truist Fan Pavilion, we have the Tito's Stillhouse, Sunbrella Comfort Zone, the Sunbrella Wine Deck, on, and it's just been great. And then last year we added the Clyde Mays Barrel House. And so you have all these great areas. And so if you're spending the money to essentially build the bleachers anyway, then you partner on a corporate relationship with them and let them have their branding, let them have what they want to accomplish by putting this on in front of you. And then we want to, it works for us because the spectators are enjoying it in a shaded area and they don't have to walk far to get the food and drink. So to me, it was a no-brainer. I don't understand why more events don't do that, but look, it's worked for us, and I think that's why a lot of people like it.
You have such a great field. You have such a great spot on the calendar. Do you like being the last regular season stop before the FedEx Cup starts?
We've embraced it. I will admit, when it first came down, gosh, however many years ago it was, 10, 12, however many years ago, we've had this slot on the schedule, if I'm not mistaken, since 2007. FedEx Cup playoffs, that whole deal. So it's been a decade or so now. And that magical 125 number to retain your card, but also make your way into the FedEx Cup playoffs, that 125 number has been burned into our soul for so many years. And then all of a sudden last year, we see the number 70, and we're like, okay, how's this going to play out? So we were cautiously optimistic that it would matter. And, you see, if you look at our field, the one thing we've also been known for as it relates to players that are on a household name basis, we get some of those guys every so often, either through injury or maybe they're not having a great year. So all of a sudden somebody like Ricky Fowler or Jordan Spieth or Adam Scott or one of those guys will show up and play our events because, and look, Tiger played her in 2015, same deal.
Right.
So
Justin Thomas
that's
this
happening
week.
with Justin Thomas this week.
Yeah.
And so to me, there's a lot of reasons and a lot of storylines for our event having relevance. And that's it. And it's not meant to be disrespectful to any other tour event because everybody has a great storyline, no matter what week you are on the schedule. But our niche has become the last chance to make the playoffs. And for us now, with that number being 70 instead of 125, for lack of better terms, it kind of makes us the first playoff event because in the past, it was 125 and you had to get to 70 to make it to stage 2. Well, we are at that point. So
it's like week 17 or whatever, 18 now in the NFL.
And to finish that answer, last week when the field was finalized, every player from number 46 through 100, with the exception of 2, and I think one of those 2 was injured, every one of those guys had entered our field. And so to me, that finally solidified what we always thought was going to come true. And not only 70, but now with all the changes that have been going on in professional golf the last 12 to 18 months, that 50 number is now important as well, because all these guys want to get in those designated events next year, and it's top 50 and you're guaranteed. So those guys, that's why the guy that's 46, 47, 48, and then the 50s is showing up, whereas maybe in the past he wouldn't have.
Does it hurt your heart or brain or pride at all when you see these guys come in and shoot a 61 or shoot a 62 and see that winning score being like 24? Like, I don't know. I'm one of those guys where I'm like, I like when I like the Memorial. I like the British Open. You know, like I like it when they suffer. They do not suffer here. They come in here and they just absolutely tear through the place. Are you okay with that?
I am. I will say our scores are not as low as a few other events on tour. We're not the lowest, but look, it's a shorter course. It's a par 70. So I think that there's a little bit of an asterisk with that because we are a par 70. But you look at the other end of it. There's guys that are shooting in the mid 70s too. So it's not like every single player is shooting in the 60s.
It's an honest test of golf for sure. But like they come in here and it's so humbling for me to watch.
Well, and I will say this too.
But I'm not a member here. If I was a member here, I might be like, what are these guys doing?
In all transparency, yes, the first few years, especially when we changed the greens over from bent grass to Champion Bermuda, you thought, okay, they're going to be lightning fast. They're not going to be able to shoot those same scores. And the numbers were pretty similar. And I think there were some people that had a little bit of that pride and that ego that it bothered them. But what the PGA Tour reminded us of is when you're at home watching on Sunday and you're in Boise, Idaho, instead of being here on the grounds in North Carolina, that guy sitting on the couch or that girl sitting on the couch, they actually like watching birdies. When you watch the U.S. Open, you're expecting to score around par. But people like watching birdies and eagles. It's exciting. It's a lot more fun to watch that than a bogey or a double bogey. And so I get it.
I think every golf tournament has to have, like to Joe's point about the British Open, there are certain expectations you have with the British Open. Even me, the casual golf fan that usually watches the majors, I know what I'm getting with the U.S. Open, some really tough greens.
Correct.
Except this year.
Well, yeah, except this year.
Yeah.
But,
that was not the U.S. Open this year. I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
The fairway's way too wide. Way too wide.
And the fact that you went sometimes a couple holes without even seeing some of the gallery, I thought was
there was no
strange,
crowds.
too. There was no
Should be
crowd.
for the people.
Seemed a little off.
Won't be a
That's
problem
exactly
here.
it.
I know that.
No, sir.
Definitely not. All right, so the Pro-Am, I'm curious. How much does it cost to get into the Pro-Am?
So our Wednesday Pro-Am threesomes sell for $32,000.
Is that a tax
not
write-off?
bad.
Can we write that off?
We can if we had 32 G's laying around.
I thought we're 3 months in. We don't have 32 G's lying around.
Not quite.
You want to try this next year?
Yes.
I will tell you this. Of all of our assets, it is the first thing that sells out every year.
Yes.
Not surprised.
No doubt.
Not surprised. Explain like I'm 5. For $32,000, I get a threesome and a pro is assigned to me?
For 9 and 9, that's the new thing with the PGA Tour as of a couple of years ago. So what that means is you're playing the front 9 with one pro, and then when you make the turn,
really?
There's a different pro playing the back 9.
That's kind of cool.
At first, there were people that did not embrace that, and they thought, well,
I'm paying. I want to be playing season all day today.
Yeah.
Okay.
And especially like if you're paired with Justin Thomas, you're thinking, I'm getting ripped off for the back 9 because I'm playing with somebody I've never heard of.
Here's what I'm cooking. I don't want to play with Justin Thomas. What I want to do, like, how can you guarantee Roy Williams plays in our? Do we have to bring Roy in our threesome, or is there a way that Roy gets paired with us? Because I want Joe and Roy to be on the course together.
That would be a good match.
Is that $60,000? Like, what do I got to do for that?
No, he needs to be a part of your
He's got to be a part of that.
All right.
See, I think we can make that work.
Get the swaff out
He
here
has
too.
played in it. I would say he's played in this Pro-Am a number of times.
Yeah, I know. We were actually hoping to catch him out here, but I know it's his birthday week, and he did not make it out. But, who knows? Maybe we'll see a Swafford sighting at some point today. Fingers crossed on that one. Fingers crossed. All right. I was like legitimately curious about the Pro-Am because I didn't know anything about it. I always thought it was like some sort of sponsors type thing. I'm sure that's involved too.
Yeah, there's as part of their title sponsorship package, Wyndham does get a lot of teams, and Truist is our presenting sponsor, and then the DeJoy Was Family Foundation is actually our Wednesday Pro-Am sponsor. So there are X amount of teams that are tied up with those.
Maybe we get an OG sponsored hole. What do you think, Joe? Is that in the budget?
It's PGA Tour, man. I mean,
I feel-
Bobby would hook us up, but I'm not sure the PGA Tour.
But
is
I
gonna-
feel like that's a better use of our money than the OG Mobile.
No, man. OG Mobile for life. Come on.
He wants to get a car, an official podcast car. I'm thinking, nah, we got to do something like this. Let's get like an official hole or
There's
something
options.
like that.
Good to have
You
options.
got to have options. Bobby, we appreciate the time.
Yes.
Looks like the weather's going to be, I mean, it's gorgeous today.
Yeah, man.
Looks
Can't
like
have a better day than today.
You're right. North Carolina, August, it can be pretty gross, but so far so good out here in Greensboro. We appreciate the time.
Thank you, guys.
Move on.
Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline in Margaritaville, where we are wasting away. I feel like such a cliche, Joe.
With that shirt?
Seriously, I got the Hawaiian shirt on. I'm drinking Land Sharks. We're at the Margaritaville, and Tom Werme, PGA Tour Radio, CW, as the ACC gets ready to move over to there this upcoming season. Tom, what's going on, man?
I'm just so thrilled to be here. This is one of the most fun weeks on the PGA Tour, as you are experiencing at this very moment.
Yeah.
But the fact that, and I was lucky enough to play with Joe and his son here a couple of weeks ago.
On that boondoggle that Joe left
Yes,
for?
and it was awesome. And Joe, and I will say this, for anybody who wants to ask me, how did you play? I said, well, forget how I played. Joe went driver on 15 and knocked it on the green in 2. Just saying.
He leaves out that he birdied the same
Tap
hole.
in birdie.
With an
Tap in
unbelievable
birdie.
chip.
But I have to say, so I was immediately a fan of the podcast, obviously playing with Joe and his son Jackson. And so I've been watching ever since. And the fact that I'm listening to the podcast, some previous versions coming up, and now I'm actually on the show.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing to me.
I appreciate it, man.
Mind-blowing. So I'm
appreciate it.
thrilled to be with you guys.
No, and look, I always enjoy having a chance to talk to guys like you because you've been doing this for a really long time. You've got connections to the ACC, and that's actually where I wanted to start first before we talked about the
in the
golf
home of the
tournament.
ACC here.
That's
Yeah,
right.
right.
Right
You know,
there in that building.
It's funny. I think not only that, like where they park us for the shuttle, you drive right past the ACC office.
Yes.
It's on John Swafford
Swafford
Lane,
Drive.
Yes.
which is hilarious to me.
Yep.
And then the home of the ACC is right here, and I believe under the desk, like the little where the ACC was formed. Is that where the Grant of Rights is buried, like under lock and key, under a Teflon golf polo that John Swafford wore when they signed that thing?
Original version, right next to the old Declaration of Independence.
Right.
It's all right there under
Yeah.
the desk in there.
At some point, there's going to be I think somebody from Florida State is
I was
going
going to say, they need a security guard to
It's
protect it.
It's going to be like national treasure. Like we're
Oh
going to
my
steal
gosh.
the Grant of Rights and we're going to make this work. So, regardless, I am curious about your thoughts as to the perseverance of the ACC and regionalism more than anything else. I think sometimes people forget that college football is regional, and the move to the CW, which is broadcast and regional, is actually a pretty good move, all things considered. You'll be that second week with Pitt, right?
We're gonna start with Cincinnati and Pitt, and then the following week we're at NC State against VMI.
Yeah.
Which is just fantastic that we've got games on the schedule. There were some things up in the air prior to the start of the season for us on our broadcast side. But going to the CW has been fantastic. We've met with those people. They're so excited about it. They're building some traction in their sports department, CW Sports. And so we're thrilled to be partnering with them along with Raycom Sports. And I've been working for Raycom since
You've been doing it for a long time.
05,
Yeah.
04, 05 in there somewhere.
Joe keeps on trying to date you here, like with this long, like
05 is a long time,
I know,
man.
I understand.
That was
that.
nearly
I mean,
20 years
Tom's
ago.
like in
Honestly,
my age bracket here.
I've been
Let's
around-
Same. I'm 44.
Yeah.
You're approaching
I got you
50.
guys by a few years.
We're all old. It's
I-
okay.
I
I
started-
embrace it. I embrace it.
I started broadcasting in 1991
Okay.
in the Patriot League.
Yeah,
Way back in the
but
day.
you're from the mafia, man.
Yeah. So
You're from the La Familia.
after the graduation
Syracuse.
from Syracuse University.
Yes.
But really, I think it's a wonderful partnership.
Yeah.
And I, selfishly, and I think a lot of people feel this way, especially in this part of the country, I hope the ACC stays exactly the way it is. And especially as a Syracuse grad, when they came in, when those most recent additions were made several years ago, incredible additions to this conference. And I think, I just hope it looks the same now
I think so.
as it will in a few years. And I've been listening to you guys talk about it, and I think the network element gets overlooked. As you guys have been talking about, with teams maybe going to various conferences, you've got to include the television rights and that element into it whenever you're making a decision along those lines.
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean,
Oh,
it's
people.
not as easy as Florida State just saying
We don't. What was
Not
it?
at all.
It's
we
not,
don't fear the grant of
Yeah,
rights.
it won't be a problem. That's not what's keeping us in this league, apparently. Which, of course, my attitude is whatever. But I do think that people have fatigue when it comes to this particular topic, and this is the time of the year where we should be focused on. All right, the order of finish, which we just got, preseason player of the year, which will be Drake May. I know that
No
Jordan,
divisions.
No divisions.
Feels like it's a little
and
bit
I
open.
Think and I think that's the part that. And Joe and I were talking about this earlier to start the show. When you look at. So there's a disconnect. Everybody coming out of ACC kickoff was high on Louisville because they looked at the schedule, and Vegas thinks awesome, right? Because you're looking at it for different reasons. But when you looked at the predicted order of finish, Pitt and Louisville were way back.
I was surprised by Pitt.
I think that's a byproduct of not knowing what to do without divisions now, and you actually have to judge these teams based on what you really think about them, not the gamesmanship of who can win Coastal Chaos,
Right.
And who's going to surprise Clemson in the Atlantic.
It's funny because I work with James Bates on the games. He was on the national championship team in Florida in 1996 under Steve Spurrier. And we break up the interviews, and he does some teams, and I do some teams, and we do all 3 days with the 14 teams. And I got to talk to Pat Narduzzi, who, of all the coaches, I think I know the best a little bit because I don't know. He's like your friend immediately, or your enemy. But even then, it's great because he's such a great guy.
He likes to spar.
I asked him the question about, I'm sure you got this all day long, is Pitt getting the respect that it deserves? And maybe it isn't, maybe it is, but if you look at the number of wins over the last couple of years, like they're right there, right behind Clemson, and they have an
ACC
champs
title
2 years ago against Wake in the title game in Charlotte. So I guess I have a liking for Coach Narduzzi because he's always been, if you're straightforward with us, which the vast majority of the coaches I've ever dealt with, especially in the ACC, have been, then I appreciate the candidness.
One of your other jobs is PGA Tour radio.
Back to the golf.
We don't play enough golf. That's the problem, Joe.
Truly. I love this track. I love it when they play a Ross course. It is humbling, though, to see how well they're about to play this. What do you think of the spot on the calendar that they have? Because it does mean something, especially going to a top 70 this year. And also just kind of the longevity of this event on the tour. It's like truly one of the, as you said, one of the more fun stops, which you would not normally associate with Greensboro, right?
They do it perfectly here. I mean, look at the size. Remember the sand castles that they used to build of actual sand? Those were great. But the structure they have now, which is combined sand and structure of this giant castle, you're in Margaritaville. The way that they run this event, the way they treat the players and the caddies and the fans as their guests and all the folks at Sedgefield, I mean, I could go on and on because of this event. The key is to make a quadruple bogey at the first hole. Then you're on track. If you can quad the first hole and then shoot 62 in the final round, that is the formula for winning this tournament, clearly. Unfortunately, the defending champ will not be here with Tom Kim. But there's so many other great names that are going to be involved. The field is great. And the way that they've reduced the top 70 to qualifying for the playoffs now,
That's why we're seeing Justin Thomas here. Right?
That really worked to benefit this event. So it's a wonderful week, and we love broadcasting this event. Our crew here is on the grounds, and we just can't wait to get started.
Are you allowed to give me a pick, or do you need to be impartial? I just saw my pick on birdie to 17. So
I always who's that? Denny McCarthy.
Denny McCarthy, Virginia, go Hoos.
I always defer to impartiality.
Okay.
When I'm broadcasting an event.
Yeah, that's fair.
Especially if people think that I'm pulling for Syracuse in a football game or something. That is so. I swear.
Hey, you're talking to a couple state guys that everybody accuses
I
the triangle.
only want to see great football. You said NC State. I remember when they just barely beat Liberty a few years ago. We did that game.
It was a hell of a game.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I believe Turner Gill was the head coach at Liberty at the time. Maybe. I'm not sure.
You was there, I think.
Anyway, but it was, I mean, we get 6 overtimes at Virginia Tech in North Carolina. I mean, I just want to see great football, basketball, what have you. I want to see great golf. I like, one of you said Alex Smalley.
Yep.
Was that you,
Duke.
Joe?
Yeah, he's a member here.
Okay. So I've run into Alex, I know it's a crazy name drop, on the range a couple of times when we played up here. And we have quick small talk, and I think this is, I mean, could it be one of his majors on the tour because of his association with the area and the golf course? And by the way, if you ask him what his highlight of the season was, you talked about top 10 finishes. Hole-in-one at the Players in the final round. Very early on. I was there because they sent us out just the 17 to call the action, and Alex dunks one.
That's nice.
Wait a minute, were you
were you on the Virginia Tech Wake Forest 0-0 regulation tie?
No,
That wasn't you.
Okay.
This past
Because
season,
that was a Raycom game.
I don't
can't
think I
remember
did
if
that one.
You would have remembered.
You would have remembered 0-0.
I remember
You would
the
have remembered Frank Beamer doing this at 0-0.
I was not on that. This is the crazy thing.
Okay.
I was on the
So
game
double
last
check.
year without a touchdown. Miami at Virginia in overtime.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
and
Yes.
several years ago, I was on a game Syracuse at Pittsburgh. The teams combined for 137 points, which at the time was a regulation game record, and still, I believe, stands in the ACC as the most points outside of overtime. And there were no field goals in that. It was all touchdowns.
So you had them both ways.
I said touchdown. I started speaking it in like Swahili at one point because I'm trying to make it interesting.
You went to Syracuse, not Carolina.
Not Carolina. Not
So I figured out some way to say touchdown differently.
Awesome.
But anyway, so
Tom, hey man, we appreciate you dropping by. We
I
appreciate
really-
you
your
listening, man.
support.
Appreciate the support, man. We really, truly
this is the
appreciate
highlight of my career. I'm going to retire after this week. This is incredible, and you guys do such a great job. And I am a loyal listener for life
Thank
for you
you,
guys.
Tom. We appreciate it, man. All right, let's get out of here on some Hey Joe questions. Use that hashtag Hey Joe. Shout out to Oakwood Pizza Box. New Law of the Wolf podcast with Elliot Avent making pizza, talking like Yankees Mount Rushmore.
All right, so I spawned off a little bit of a bonus episode there because yes, Anthony is a huge Yankees fan, and obviously Elliot Avent is a huge Yankees fan. So we did Mount Rushmore for each of us, and not surprisingly, Elliot Avent trying to be a little bit different.
Of course.
But it does involve a Henry Kissinger story and A-Rod and George Steinbrenner. So.
And Anthony's in the latest Picks and Pizza. I mean, you made that podcast for Anthony, and he finally showed up.
Anthony doing me a solid. Yes.
Here's this podcast I made for you.
We made
Let's make it
AFC
happen.
East picks, but we also had a good conversation about low moisture mozzarella and how it might be the actual key to Anthony's pizza success.
I love it. All right. From Justin on Twitter, if someone were to say steal the grant of rights, say from Sedgefield, would that person then control the ACC's media rights? It's like a Nick Cage national treasure situation. I know there's only one way to try, right, Joe?
Yes.
There's only one way to find out. So when we're done with the
those
show,
SEC shorts, they're like sponsored by some bank.
Right.
They would if I had their resources, I would totally do a mini. What are they called on a short?
A short on YouTube.
On YouTube, that would be us stealing the grant of rights.
All right,
Nick
I'm in
Cage
on that.
style.
I'm in on that. I'm absolutely in on that.
Maybe we get Andy Samberg to play
Oh yeah,
Nick Cage.
Perfect. All right, from who plays John Swafford? John Swafford himself.
John Swafford makes an appearance.
All right. Hey, Joe from Scout. Hey, Joe, 75th anniversary of the ACC is coming up in a few years. Should the tournament be in Greensboro, or should they have it the first few rounds at Reynolds and the semi and the final at PNC? Also, thanks for letting me introduce myself at ACC Media Days. You guys are awesome. Shout out to you, Scout.
Yeah, Luke DeCox had this right all along. The 75th should be at Reynolds. And then, yes, they should play the rest of it at PNC. Why they don't play the ACC tournament in Louisville at their unbelievable arena, I don't know.
Right.
Why they don't play it at in Raleigh.
Yeah.
Like, really, you don't think Carolina fans are going to show up at PNC Arena?
They absolutely
Come
will.
on now.
They absolutely
Focus.
will. Absolutely will.
It would be that they would live to take that place over and just like, oh, you can't win a title anywhere, anytime? Oh, let us win one on your home floor.
Makes sense.
Like, no one is going to stand in the way of that. Like, come on.
All right, let's get out of here on this from our friend Brian Ives over at the ACC Network. I'm over here with all the answers already, and poor Cal is digging through old press releases.
Listen, we got to get Cal on Ives' level, but I don't even know if that's possible.
No, there's no way to get on
But
Ives'
I
level,
should
man.
actually introduce him because Cal, that would be something he would be really good at.
No,
And he
that-
could actually learn as opposed to, my nonsense. Although I've been instilling a lot of life lessons in the interns this summer. I feel good about my tutelage and my mentorship.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The other day when I asked Tanner for a graphic and he was like, and he gave me some story about the Wi-Fi and this other stuff. And I'm like, hey, Tanner, I said, granted. I said, Tanner, granted, I am not paying you for this internship, although he has been compensated. I've said, listen, man, when you get to the real world, like when somebody says, hey, I need this done, you need to do it. Yeah. And I said, and when you don't, I said, excuses are bullshit. I don't need any of them.
That's fair.
Okay. Just say I didn't get it done. I'll have it for you tomorrow. Don't give me the Wi-Fi went out. Don't give me this other nonsense.
My dog ate my Wi-Fi.
No, don't need it. I don't need it.
Ate my Wi-Fi.
I just need the work. And you know, and you never know who's listening or watching.
You're right.
You know, the 2 graphics that he sent me this week are unbelievable. I'm very happy with both of them. But you know, let's keep stepping here.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for today's edition of Ovies and Giglio. Thanks to everybody at Sedgefield who made today very possible and made us feel welcome, and that my lack of golf expertise was not getting in the way of what we were trying to do. We will see you all Thursday.